All right, I was commissioned to read a book, and that is Elegy of a Fragmented Vineyard by Caden Love. And this is an indie book. It was also a Spiffbo entrant in my year, and I'd known about this. I remember doing the Will It TBR video and this book coming up and discovering the secret baby on the cover, because I was definitely ignoring it. And in the chat, I was like, why is there a baby up there? And I was very taken aback. I get it, though, because I've read the book now. This book is the beginning of a trilogy called Paladins of the Harvest. And I will say I was confused about the title for this, so I actually emailed the author going, hey, what's up with this? And he explained it to me because Elegy of a Fragmented Vineyard. The vineyard is basically the pool of the people, right? The vineyard is the society because of what they're doing in the book. It makes it a vineyard. It's fragmented because this is a very split, and it's a kind of a heavier political fantasy. I didn't realize it was going to be such a heavy political fantasy before going into it. I thought we would have kind of definitely a dystopian vibe, given the synopsis, and a little bit maybe leaning on the epic side of things, but it's definitely more dark, gritty political fantasy, in my opinion. So if that doesn't sound your vibe, then you probably want to skip it. But if it does sound your vibe, check out the rest of this. And then the elegy is like, the mourning situation, and it's mourning for this society that is crumbling under these two factions, right? Or not factions, but two opinions on this. So the overall story plot, could probably tell you that, is we have a society that has babies that are being born with two umbilical cords, and these are called endowed. And the endowed have magical abilities. But there's, in the society, it's so hard to talk about this. I'm like, how am I not going to get flagged? Because there is a lot of child unalivement in this, of baby unalivement in this, because in this society, on half of this society, they're like, we need to do this thing. So they take that other umbilical cord off, and it does unalive the baby. They cannot survive without it. And then they graft it onto adults who then get those powers, but to a lesser extent. And so there is a big conflict on whether or not this is something they should be doing. And we open with Fenrir, who is a surgeon, and he hates this. He hates this so much. He has been forced into this position and wants to leave, and does eventually leave to go back to his family, and then becomes recruited as kind of a general of the rebellion. So Fenrir is our main protagonist. We do have a few others. It is a multi-POV book. I was probably the most invested in Fenrir's, though. I just found his journey, because he was basically one of the bad guys against his will, and now he's trying to correct it, which is a story trope that I do enjoy reading a lot. This was just a very heavy book. We saw a lot of POVs. We saw a lot of facets of the different sides to thing that made me kind of think, is this an allegory for something in our real world? Which is another question I asked the author, and they said, no, there was no intention behind this. It is purely a fantasy thing, but people have derived that people have apparently reached out to him before, being like, is this a thing? And them have to be like, no, it was just the idea. But he doesn't mind people taking, interpreting it as they will, but there was no actual allegory when he was writing the book. It just kind of came to be. And this could be an allegory for several real world topics that I could see right now, given that the author has also published a book to support refugees right now. That's his new kind of cyber horror. I think it's called, what is it? Toothsucker, I think is what it's called. Because I did a little digging on their YouTube. He actually also has a YouTube channel called Love and Lore with his wife. And I was like, I need to dig about this person and find out more, because I didn't really know anything about them, and discovered that they had done that, which I thought was really cool. And so I'm going to lead with, again, there was no intention of this. How I'm taking this, though, is it can be very much applied to how people in government define worthiness of life, and what, if it serves them, then they disregard citizens in this one and in other countries across the border right now. I'm not going to get political in this video, but that's how I'm choosing to see the allegory. So it kind of helps build more of a connection with the characters and with the struggle, and knowing that, like, wow, you read the POV of these people who are defending doing this, and as a person you're like, no, obviously unaliving babies is completely wrong. Why would you do that, you incredibly crazy people? And then you hear them give their defense, and it's still wild, and obviously you still disagree with them, but it's interesting to see how they justify it for themselves, even though they are so in the wrong, right? So it's an interesting way to see the opposite point of view while still knowing that, like, wow, I can't believe they've really reasoned it into themselves to make this acceptable, even though it's absolutely not. So this is a very heavy book. Okay, it's heavy with that. It is actually a pretty, I wouldn't say short read. It's about 400-ish pages long. And I did get an audiobook, a version of it for free, which was very nice. And the audiobook narrator, very good with all of his accents. Will definitely commend the narrator. And I just was left thinking with this book for a long time. So if you want a book that's going to sit with you for a while and really make you contemplate everything going on in the book, this is definitely a book for you. If you're not into the heavy political stuff, then no, this is not a book for you. But overall, I would say I enjoyed the reading experience. I definitely got a lot of my diamond painting done while I was doing it, while I was listening to it. But yeah, it was a very interesting book that it's definitely not going to be for everyone, but for those who like big world building, who like complicated characters and complicated themes, then you will like this book. Cool. You are snoring so loud. I don't know if my audio was picking her up. Oh, you're sniffing it. Sorry, I woke you up with that. You are snoring so loud, my papaya. So loud. Okay. Anyway, that's it.